University lecturers say federal government is not paying their salaries and have refused to meet their demands over several months of strike action. Tonight, we got a minister to respond to ASUU's agitation. And more facts are coming into the table now that the chairman of the Lekki Concession Company, where the Lekki shooting took place, submitted a video evidence in front of the panel sitting in Lagos. Hello everyone and welcome to Politics Today on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbaloye in Lagos. Let's begin by telling you that the Judicial Panel of Inquiry in Lagos has resumed for its fourth sitting today in Lagos, with more testimonies coming from some of those who have had some encounter with the now disbanded SARS. Also appearing today was the Managing Director of Lekki Concession Company, Mr. Abayomi Omomua, who submitted video footage recorded by the company's surveillance camera on the night of October 20, 2020, when soldiers allegedly opened fire on NSAS protesters at the Lekki toll gate. He told the panel that the camera only captured events until 8 p.m. on that day.
We power it with different devices. Two major categories of these cameras are mentioned now.
Well, it's election day in the United States, where one of the world's oldest democracies will determine who will run the affairs of the country as president for the next 4 years. It has been weeks of campaigns by the candidates, and the top candidates, President and Republican candidate Donald Trump and former Vice President and Democratic Party candidate Joe Biden, will slug it out in most of the battleground states in an election that is perceived as perhaps one of the most divisive poll in history. Several candidates of Nigerian descent are running for office in the elections too. Analysts say winner in the election may not be determined as quickly as it happened in the last 4 years. Tonight on the program, we'll get the federal government's reaction to the agitations of university lecturers who have been on strike for several months. It was compounded by coronavirus, but the lecturers say they're not going back to the classrooms until the government listens to their demands. But before we get to do that, let me show you some of your stories on our political roundup.
The Minister of Defense, retired Major General Bashir Magashi, says Nigeria knew about the rescue of an American citizen kidnapped by bandits in Niger Republic and taken to northern Nigeria. Speaking to journalists at the National Assembly after the ministry's budget defense session, Major General Magashi says Nigeria gave permission to the United States to carry out the operation.
The United States of America contacted the Nigerian government, and they were given the permission to undertake that operation. And there is nothing wrong in a friendly nation taking permission to conduct an operation which is for the mutual good of the countries.
The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, has met with the Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, who visited the commercial city today to inspect the damage done to several police facilities in the state in the aftermath of the NSAS protest. The IGP says the destruction Lagos witnessed is uncalled for and that the state, being the epicenter of the crisis, where 6 police officers were lynched and 46 police stations burnt, has taught the force a lesson on how to prevent a protest from degenerating in the future. The 3-man panel of judges sitting on the Ondo State Governorship Election Tribunal has granted the governorship candidate of the PDP, Eyitayo Jegede, permission to inspect the materials used for the election. One of the counsel to Mr. Jegede, Jamiu Makinde, moved the motion before the tribunal. The tribunal, which is sitting at the Ondo State High Court in Akure, the state capital, and is headed by Justice Umar Abubakar, also granted an order for substituted service to Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu. And for a second day, postgraduate Nigerian students continued protesting at the Nigerian High Commission in London over non-payment of their school fees and upkeep. The students who are of the 2018 batch of the NDDC scholarship program say despite a directive from the president, no fund has been released towards their studies for 2 years now after being verified twice.
Tonight on the program, we get the federal government's reaction to the agitations of university lecturers who have been on strike for several months. The lecturers claim some of their colleagues have not been paid for several months. Some say the last time they got a salary was in June this year. There's been disagreement with the federal government on the payroll system, where they have provided an alternative payroll from the lecturers. Last week, the president of Academic Staff Union of Universities, Professor Biodun Ogungbemi, told us right here on this platform that the federal government is not committed to seeing the strike end, as it has not yielded to its demands. The lecturers have put forward what they call a 5-point demand, asking the federal government to meet it before they get back to the classroom. This is some of the demands from the university lecturers, the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, ASUU. A major part of the conversation is about the payroll system. The university lecturers are saying that the IPPIS, which is the payroll system devised by the federal government, is designed for civil servants and is not considered the university system. And they had come up with UTAS, a university payroll platform system put forward by the university lecturers, but they said the federal government is not ready to yield to their demands. Tonight, we have the Minister of State for Education, Honorable Emeka Nwajuba, who joins us from our Abuja studio to give clarity on some of the demands of ASUU. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for joining us tonight. Perhaps a lot of issues on the table, and Nigerians are wondering, when will this strike end? It was first the issue of coronavirus, but schools are now gradually coming back, but the university lecturers are saying they would not go back. The ASUU president told us that the IPPIS, the federal government payroll, is not designed for the university system. But why is the federal government not considering the alternative platform put forward by the lecturers?
Thank you very much, Akin. My name is Emeka Nwajuba, and I work for you at the Ministry of Education as Minister of State. So please, not to mix up issues, we do not have a problem whatsoever with the demands of ASUU. All of us are working in the same vineyard. All of us are working for Nigeria. We are not, there's no government side and there's no ASUU side. ASUU works for government and we all are government. ASUU is government the same way we are government. What we came to power with was a mandate from Nigerians to stem systemic corruption. We ran on this platform. That was what we presented to Nigerians we were coming to do. We know it is also good to fight corruption by arresting a few people here and there and all that and trying to chase it down. But we understood from the beginning that there are systemic corruption or that and the systems and the subs needs to be cleaned up. Part of it would be what you remember we dealt with as TSA. We stood by, and for many, many years, people kept insisting that they needed exemptions from so and so. All kinds of people wanted exemptions from TSA. Some people said the university system will collapse if we use TSA. Some people said hospitals will not run. But eventually, we are all on board. The beauty of the President Muhammadu Buhari regime and the way he's always run things is not that he comes to make new things, that he does not arrogate to himself as knowing everything. IPPIS, TSA, similar programs were all things that had established in Nigeria before, and for which Nigeria had paid serious sums to acquire the technology. But when this government came, and part of its beauty is that it wants to obey Nigerian laws. What Nigeria says it would do, Nigeria would do. That's what you consider a serious government. So parts of this is with IPPIS. And IPPIS has now been in force in Nigeria for many, many years. Almost every sector that said that they could not get on the platform are now on the platform. The entire gamut of government payment are on it, except those who are regarded as corporations that are not government paid. We don't pay them. But this everybody that needs to be paid by government has to be on this IPPIS platform. What is IPPIS? IPPIS is really nothing. It's just information system for your payrolls. Is an integrated personnel and payroll information system. That's what IPPIS means. So it's not true that it is designed for anybody. It can be designed for football players, for all you mind. It can be designed for, it doesn't have to be a civil servant. There is no this argument that it is designed for civil servants. There's nobody who is called a particular person who is designed for. What it is that it's a payment system. It's a platform on which you put people. Now, if you have complaints with it, and which is what we've been taught as university lecturers, and we at the Ministry of Education consider it as part of our learning, that we've been taught that the way applications are made is that you watch the algorithms that govern each of them, and you expand them or you contract them as your needs arise. There's no such thing as that there are areas it can't cover. You just simply encode them and then have them talk to those areas of your needs that you can expand to. And that is what we think IPPIS is about. But I don't think ASUU is at home just because of IPPIS, because like I know about 71,000 lecturers around Nigeria, nearly 50-something thousand of them already on IPPIS, and I don't think IPPIS is an issue. And whether you want to introduce a different payment platform, let's say UTAS, for instance, as terrific as it may sound, or if it is workable, or now that they've given it to the relevant technology authorities, Ministry of Communication and NIDA and so on, so to can evaluate it and see whether the encryptions around it can be synchronized with what we already have in the system, and whether they can talk to each other and the algorithms can fit in such a way that they don't then expose Nigeria's own back-end information systems to being able to be hacked, or all those kind of encryption services, which I'm not sure I need to bring on board at the moment. But even if they can, or if they should, at some point, data needs to talk to itself. There's no data platform that is completely independent of the other. It's like if you have a data system for federal road safety for your ID cards, and say because you have one for ID card, then they cannot talk to the ones that contain your BVN. That's not the
Honourable Minister,
way of reasoning.
apologies to cut in just...
that almost every document can integrate with the other, and that is where this argument is. But like I said, we are not on one side and ASUU is on one side. We are all together. The idea is, what is it ASUU is employed to do? They are employed to teach, and because they're supposed to lecture our students, they've been at home for 8 months. My advice has always and consistently been, you can walk and chew gum. There's nothing wrong with being in classroom while we are negotiating this. There's nothing wrong with being in classroom while we are working on all the other issues. There are so many things that the 5 points you just raised, you can look at each one of them. Visitation panels to universities. The president has signed the visitation panel report, and we've constituted all the panels. Malama Adamu, the Minister of Education, has worked at all of them. It's been signed off on the president. We've taken it now to the Attorney General because the law actually requires you to gazette them. So it's being gazetted. That's not a problem. The second, which is lease assessment for universities and payment of we have agreed to what it is that government needs to provide. We've made offers of how much money that is available to the government's coffers. We didn't just drop from the moon, and ASUU is not some people out of this world. They are here in Nigeria. They know that the limitations of the economy. Nigeria sells only 2 million barrels of oil a day, and at most at $35. So it's not like that $5 multiplied this will probably give you somewhere in the neighborhood of $700 million. So it's not like we're manufacturing money out of the moon or something funny. It is from this same money that the entire 200 and odd million people in Nigeria need to be fed. That's where the states get their resource. That's where the 36 state governors, this same one single source. And for the past 5 years, this government is doing almost like bleeding to make sure that every part of Nigeria is serviced. You're fighting wars everywhere. And there's somebody say, you can't say because you want them to chop off what comes to politicians or comes out, you can find this money somewhere, you must provide it
Honorable
tomorrow.
Minister, just apologies to cut in.
We are not saying that is wrong. We're just saying you can be...
Honorable Minister, just a moment. We need to go on a break. So I would like you to explain further on the issue of the IPPIS, because they said they came and did a presentation to you with their own alternative payroll system, and we get clarity and also want to know when they can go back to the classroom, when these issues will be over. That's our major concern here, when those students can get to the classroom, and we're privileged to have the minister here to explain all of those to us right here on China's television. We'll be right back after this break, everyone. Join us again.
If we have lecturers that are not being paid for 8-9 months, how can we have that person putting in his or her best in the system? If people are going back to the universities and they will be paid half or less of their usual salary, how can we cope with that? And the salary is not the only issue, like I said. There were allowances that were discussed. There was the issue of salary scale. If we have been on the same salary structure for 11 years, I think our members have the right to say, no, that cannot happen. So when we put the 5 issues that I earlier enumerated side by side with what government has done to compound the process, government has made it difficult for smooth negotiation. So at one of our meetings, when we discussed how we are going to approach all other issues, then we came to the issue of outstanding salaries, the issue of allowances, and government said, well, your members will be paid once they agree to go to IPPIS. And we told them, does it make economic sense?
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us right here on the program. We have the Minister of State for Education, Honorable Emeka Nwajuba, trying to clear the air on some of the issues raised by the university lecturers and some of the demands that I showed you earlier. Let me remind you of some of them. It includes release of revitalization fund in line with the 2013 MOU, payment of arrears of end academic allowances, inauguration of visitation panels to all federal universities, renegotiation of the 2009 federal government and ASUU agreement, proliferation of state universities and governance issues in them. The minister told us earlier that the president has signed off on some of these issues and they will be gazetted in the coming days. It does look like that may have been settled. But one issue that is not really settled, and I'd like the minister to clear the air and perhaps let us quickly, because there are other issues on the table that we need to also talk about, Minister, and is on the issue of the payroll system. Minister, let me take you to the existing law. There is a University Autonomy Act of 2007, which allows the university to be able to guide their own affairs, run their own affairs. But it looks to me, because when you're saying that the IPPIS is what will govern and it's bendable, it's flexible, but they said they presented the UTAS, the University Transparency and Accountability System, to the federal government. But in the last minute, it does look like it deadlocked and you are not agreeing. Are you telling us right now that the federal government had cancelled anything that has to do with the University Transparency and Accountability System, which is for the university, the alternative payroll system of the university lecturers? Is it that you have cancelled it and you're not using it?
Thank you, Sharon. You need to appreciate that government is a continuum. This is not the last time we're going to pay salaries. This is not the first time salaries are being paid. Universities are already autonomous. Almost all the state universities in Nigeria already have systems of payment. This idea of university autonomy or the payments apply to just only very few of the federal universities in Nigeria. This is not of universal application to all ASUU branches. And I don't know why the issue of just 42 universities out of nearly 200, some are private, some are state, that would then become an issue for them. However, but you need to appreciate what I've said. I've not said that there is no way government will ever have any different application. But I'm saying this is what we have now, because this is available now. The government is continuously going to improve its services. If UTAS, as we go ahead, becomes even a better platform for everybody and they offer it free to government and there are issues that government sees, of course we're a responsive government. We simply migrate to it. But we can't shut down the running of government and running of our country and going to school just because somebody says there is no way I'm going to get on this other platform. And he is telling the person who's bringing this money, you must give me the money through the other means instead of this one that you... And the man is wondering, this is the only one I have now that is accountable. This is the only one that gives me some sort of numbers as to who I'm paying, when I'm paying, and how I should pay them. Why do you want me to simply abandon it and only take only this one that you have brought?
Honorable Minister,
can't you just get on us?
Yes,
if we need to
just
improve,
a follow-up
we improve.
quickly. Honorable
As your
Minister,
own develops, we improve. That's all we've been saying. There's nothing wrong with anybody in developing new technology.
Honorable Minister, can you give us a clarity? How many months' salaries are being owed to the lecturers? Some are saying that they've not been paid. The last time they were paid was in June. Is that true, that lecturers are being owed salaries for several months?
It is possible. I'm not saying that everybody has the same cutoff. You need to appreciate what happened. Lecturers declared the strike in March. So really, we were about to go to the industrial court, and then we had to get a shutdown. The president, as the president of Nigeria and as a father of everybody, looked at the situation in mid-April where everybody was shut in, and then by May said, please pay everybody. Please pay everybody, because it became more of some sort of making sure that everybody has an ability to even participate in the economy based on what was happening in the country at the time. So everybody was paid. We asked all the university lecturers, all our vice chancellors across the country to please give us the BVN of all of their people who are eligible for salaries, which they did. And like you pointed out, this BVN is a new technology, so it marries well with IPPIS. So everybody was simply migrated into the IPPIS and they were all paid. Of course, there may be people who didn't submit at the time, and they may have shortfalls, because I know that some universities actually still have issues running around that, and that is being sorted out with the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation. But I think it's a lie to say government has not paid them in 8 months. It would be unfair to government, and it wouldn't be necessary to bring that kind of argument in here, because some people may have different levels, or some people got salaries that were not adequate, or some people overgot and had to refund. There were so many issues with it.
Honorable Minister,
I said, this is a country. We're not a different country. We're working together.
Yeah,
so this can always be improved upon. Yeah.
Let's get your final thoughts on the program and in this light. But I need to point out, because some of them are saying that the IPPIS, for example, includes taxes and led to amputated salaries being paid. Some professors, according to them, are being paid as low as 8,000 per month after the IPPIS aggregate their steps and their salaries. But looking forward on the way out, when do you think that we can have the lecturers back in the classroom? Because that is the solution that everybody is looking for. When do you think that this stalemate can be over?
The lecturers can be back in the classroom tomorrow if they say they want to go back. There's nothing withholding lecturers from going into the classroom tomorrow. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Everything that government needs to do is done. If you want your salaries, get on the platform, collect your salaries. If there's anything, there's nothing. The needs assessment that we need to do in universities needs to be, even the end allowances will all be paid to only people who are working. How do we know who is working, who is where? Even if it's if you're asking for 100 billion or 200 billion, whatever number of billions you're asking for, and we start with 10 today, it is only when you're still back in school. I don't understand the idea that the only way you can ever get anything done is by not doing the work for which you are employed. This is ridiculous, to say the least. So really, I need to invite ASUU to understand that I'm not arguing against them. Everything that they are saying is correct. But there's no adversary here. You're not a different country and I'm a different country. We are here together to try to get our children educated. That's our job here. We're trying to, these whole institutions were set up not as a play place. They are designed to bring our children to school. And all we need is for you to come back to school tomorrow morning, Monday morning, wherever you decide this may be, and continue with these discussions while they are. If it's your payment, it will continue. Right. There's nothing that prevents a discussion around how much needs you're going to get. If you force government and government say, yes, we have agreed again to 200 billion, one such figure, and then you don't get it next week. So you go on another cycle next week. It doesn't make any sense because this is what's been going on.
Honorable Minister,
the only problem is that this is the first time you're meeting a sincere government, a government that is committed to doing what it says it will do. That is not like we can say, yes, we have agreed, go home tomorrow. Then tomorrow you say, government made reach an agreement, they don't want to renew. We're not being frivolous with this. We must
leave it at that and take it as your final thought. Yeah. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister for State for Education, Honorable Emeka Nwajuba. And I hope that as soon as possible, all of this will be clear. Thank you so much indeed for coming on tonight.
Thank you very much, Jim.
And as being the Honorable Minister for State for Education, Honorable Emeka Nwajuba, clearing the air on some of the issues confronting Nigeria University lecturers. And that's how we leave it, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sure. Bye-bye.